Iniesta, the quiet genius. Some footballers demand attention. Some chase headlines. Some build their careers around being the center of everything. Iniesta did none of those things. Yet somehow, when football's biggest moments arrived, there he was. The winning goal. The impossible pass. The calm touch when everyone else panicked. Again and again, football turned to Iniesta. And again, he delivered. Born in the small Spanish village of Fuengirola in 1984, Iniesta's journey looked very different from most football superstars. There was no arrogance, no larger-than-life personality, no desire to be famous. There was simply a boy who loved football. At just 12 years old, he joined the famous La Masia Academy of FC Barcelona. Leaving home at such a young age was difficult. Iniesta later admitted he cried often and struggled with homesickness. Many young players would have given up. Iniesta stayed. And football would never be the same again. As he progressed through Barcelona's academy, coaches quickly realized they were watching somebody special. Not because he was the fastest. Not because he was the strongest. But because he seemed to understand football differently. Watch Iniesta for 5 minutes and something becomes obvious. He wasn't trying to beat football. He was trying to solve it. Every touch had purpose. Every movement created space. Every pass felt perfectly timed. While others played the game, Iniesta seemed to see the game. Soon he reached Barcelona's first team. And alongside players like Xavi, Lionel Messi, and later under Pep Guardiola, football entered a new era. The Barcelona team of the late 2000s is often considered the greatest club side ever assembled. And at the heart of it all stood Iniesta. Not the loudest. Not the most famous. But perhaps the most trusted. Because when Barcelona needed control, they looked to Iniesta. When they needed calmness, they looked to Iniesta. When they needed magic, they looked to Iniesta. And he rarely disappointed. The highlights tell the story better than words ever could. The turns, the dribbles, the impossible passes through crowded defenses, the ability to glide past opponents without seeming to run. Football looked effortless in his hands. Or rather, at his feet. Former teammate Lionel Messi once described Iniesta as a complete footballer. Many players had strengths. Iniesta seemed to have answers. Yet his greatest moments were still to come. In 2009, Barcelona traveled to Stamford Bridge to face Chelsea FC in the Champions League semi-final. The clock ticked towards full time. Barcelona were heading out. Then, in the final moments, the ball arrived at Iniesta's feet. One touch. One strike. One unforgettable moment. The ball flew into the top corner. Silence. Then chaos. One of the most dramatic goals in Champions League history. And once again, Andrés Iniesta had appeared when football needed him most. But even that wasn't the biggest moment of his career. That came 1 year later. The 2010 World Cup final. Spain versus the Netherlands. Extra time. The entire nation holding its breath. Then came the chance. The ball fell to Iniesta. He struck it. The net rippled. Spain were world champions. The biggest goal in Spanish football history. Scored by the quietest man on the pitch. As teammates celebrated around him, Iniesta revealed a message beneath his shirt honoring his late friend Dani Jarque. It was a moment of victory. A moment of friendship. A moment of humanity. And perhaps it perfectly captured who Andrés Iniesta really was. Because even at the greatest moment of his life, he thought of someone else. For Spain, Iniesta became part of one of the greatest international teams ever assembled. European Championship winners. World Cup winners. European Championship winners again. An era of dominance rarely seen in international football. And throughout it all, Iniesta remained exactly the same. Humble. Quiet. Brilliant. Football often celebrates noise. The biggest personalities. The loudest voices. The biggest egos. Iniesta proved greatness could look different. It could be calm. It could be selfless. It could be quiet. Across his career, he won multiple Champions Leagues, league titles, European Championships, and a World Cup. He produced countless assists, unforgettable goals, and moments of pure genius. But statistics cannot explain Iniesta. Because his greatness was never about numbers. It was about trust. When the pressure was greatest. When the moment mattered most. Football trusted Iniesta. And perhaps that is the highest compliment any player can receive. Some footballers are remembered because they dominated the game. Andrés Iniesta is remembered because he understood it. That is why Iniesta will always remain a true footballing icon. Not simply because of what he won, but because he showed the world that greatness does not need to shout. Sometimes, it whispers. What is your favorite Iniesta memory?